The animation industry is one of incredible wonders, and it's always been a passion of mine since I was incredibly young. With these feats, however, comes incredible risk. The animation industry has flourished over the years, especially with the growing prominence of Japanese animated shows, movies, and anime. Where animation was once thought to be for kids, it's now one of the main forms of entertainment across the world, for better and for worse. With this dramatic rise in popularity and status, however, comes unintended and sometimes life-ruining hindrances. Today I'd like to take you through the risks you should know before getting into the animation industry. To start us off, let's look at a relatively smaller case that comes from Japan. Mr. A. Mr. A was a full-time salaried worker that worked on numerous different high-budget projects. The one that broke his career, however, is a little show by the name of Children of the Sea. Children of the Sea is a show by the company 4C Entertainment, and came with its fair share of issues. The animation itself is actually very beautiful, including amazing shots, especially of underwater, but because of that high budget and incredible animation, a lot of workers were overworked and underpaid. Mr. A is one of these people, reportedly working over 100 hours of overtime with no compensation for his work. Mr. A wasn't the only worker that was upset with how 4C was handling the project, however, as many salaried workers from Studio 4C would actually come forward and say roughly the same things as Mr. A, reporting massive amounts of overtime and zero compensation. In the same vein, the animation studio MAPPA is facing similar criticisms with how it works its employees. The studio is in charge of numerous different titles, all of high budget, including Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Chainsaw Man. Recently, as of 2021, many employees have come out and stated that the animation studio itself exhibited factory-like behavior, with the amount of projects they were taking on and the amount of work that they were doing just completely swamping them and being unable to compensate properly. In a slight bit of good news, however, thankfully it seems that MAPPA has addressed these concerns and is now working on creating a new studio in Japan, under the same title of course, that will have recreation rooms and places for people to unwind and hopefully reduce their workload. Once again, the topic of overworking and underpaying comes into the animation world with Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth is a relatively young company, only being founded back in 2003. They originally got their start on a show called Red vs. Blue, which originally didn't have any animation in it, but as seasons progressed, it gradually had animation put into it of higher and higher caliber. One of the flagship titles for the company's new animation side was by the name of RWBY. RWBY was a 3D animated, anime-styled show that premiered on YouTube by the creator Monty Oum. RWBY would go on to have 3 seasons of relatively good animation, as well as employees being fairly happy with the project and the time space that they were allotted to film this project. Unfortunately, this all changed after the 3rd volume of RWBY came out and the creator Monty Oum passed away. After this, the creation got shunted onto a couple different creators, eventually leading to an immense overworkload on the creators of RWBY, as well as people who are working on different animations within the same studio, which eventually led the CEO Matt Hullum to come out and make a statement about the unfortunate practices in their animation process. Hullum would state that their animation pipeline was not the most optimized and had been making strides to hopefully correct that problem. However, after 3 years, it's still looking about the same. Due to the immense backlash of the employees coming out and saying how poorly they were treated, Gray Haddock, the division head, steps down from the animation side of Rooster Teeth and became more of a creative director rather than the complete division head of the animation side of Rooster Teeth. Even though the animation industry is clearly rife with problems specifically of overworking and underpaying, especially if you're a freelancer, the industry itself is actually very beautiful at times, creating some amazing pieces of moving artwork. After all, without animation studios, we wouldn't get such beautiful images as this.
To feed on the last breath of every one of you fuckers. I'm a little more than a thing.
No, you're only a thing. You're only an old killer. You don't make anything, you don't live. You just eat and hide. You and me, we're just killers out of history. It's time for us to go.
And who's going to make me go? You? With your bit of string in your hand?
Probably not. But let's just give this one last go.